This group is sponsored by Santa Clara Valley Audubon, and it's a very nominal membership fee per year, and all the money stays locally, going towards our education, conservation, and birding activities. So having said that, I also wanted to acknowledge a few other folks. Steve Zamek, who usually travels with us, is also here. He used to be a part of this group, and he ran BABP for years before handing over the reins to Sri. And I'm also glad to have my entire family here today, my wife, Lena, my mom and my dad, my brother, and my daughters, Mitali and Anaya, they're also watching. Okay, so thank you, everyone. And let's get started. Spring is coming, so it's time to see some beautiful, colorful birds from Colombia. They say that spring is the time when nature throws a party. And as you may all know, there is always a party in South America. So let's get started. Okay, let me just share. Can you folks see this? Sri, can you confirm that you're seeing this?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, and I am going to, turn off my video so I don't distract myself. And I think we'll go through all the photos, and then, obviously we'll also take questions. So please save your questions till the end. So as I said earlier, this was a trip in 2022 taken by Luis, Harjeet, and myself. We visited the Cauca Valley in Colombia, and Colombia is one of the most diverse countries for bird life, and it has more than 1,870 species of birds, very many different habitats that support the bird life. And I have always wanted to visit Colombia for bird photography. This was our first bird photography specific trip to Colombia. So as you see here, this is a topo map of Colombia, and the Andes actually split into 3 different mountain ranges in Colombia. And so there are these inter-mountain valleys. You can see Bogota there, that's the capital, and you see Cali, and that's in the other valley over. So we started our trip in Cali, and we eventually ended up in Manizales. And this is called the Cauca Valley. And the reason we chose this place is because we wanted to see this bird. This is the multicolored tanager. It's an endemic of Colombia. It's photographed just north of Cali. And this is Luis's photographs. And all these photographs have the names of the species and the person who photographed them. It's either myself or Luis or Harjeet. And so this was our target. And so this was our first stop, just north of Cali, about 18 kilometers north of Cali. We'll start with the tanagers, and then we'll move into hummingbirds, and then we move into toucans, followed by all the rest of the species we saw. So this is in a forest and a lodge just north of Cali, where they feed these birds. So like I said, this is Luis' photo, and all 3 of us wanted to see this bird because it's such a beautiful, beautiful bird. So here is mine, and here is Harjeet's. So all of us got really spectacular shots of these tanagers. And, tanagers are nature's gift to South America. They are just simply superb, as you will see. Here is the next one. This is Harjeet's photo. It's the blue-necked tanager, also photographed at the same location. And I will continue to go through these tanagers, these colorful tanagers. And you will see by the time we go through these first about 25 slides, how beautiful these tanagers are. So the next one is a black-capped tanager. This is the male. Again, this is Harjeet's photograph. And this is the female of the same species. This is my photograph. Um, One of the things about these lodges is that they feed these birds on a regular basis. Even when nobody is visiting, they actually have to feed these birds. So the birds keep coming, and this is why these birds are familiar with people, and they come to these perches that we put so that we can photograph them well. This is a golden tanager, and as the name implies, a very beautiful golden color. Um, Let me keep going. This is a crimson back tanager. This is Luis's photo, and this is Harjeet's photo. Same species, slightly different pose, a different individual bird. Okay. We went to another lodge close by, Tinamu Lodge, and this is Harjeet's photo from there, of a Guira tanager. This was a lifer for us. A lifer is one that you have never seen. Just like the first bird that you saw, the multicolored tanager, Guira tanager was also a lifer for all of us. The next bird is a bay-headed tanager. Again, this is Harjeet's photo. And this was one of the best place to photograph these bay-headed tanagers. They came to the perches more often. I have seen this particular bird both in Ecuador as well as in Costa Rica. But this is a place where we had a very good luck with this particular bird. The next one is a golden nape tanager, and there were these two males who were squabbling over something, and Harjeet was able to capture this action shot of them very close to the feeders. The next photo is a saffron crown tanager. You can see how much difference the background makes. There was a tree far in the back that had some leaves that were that were ready to fall, and you could see that the reddish background is from the tree. You also see some streaks on the photo. You can tell that that's rain. So this the shutter speed here is about 100 to 1/250th of a second, and you see these streaks of water. These are water droplets falling while the bird was still. We come to the next tanager. This is a rather large tanager, and tanagers are an interesting, species of birds. The collection of birds. This family of birds has there is a lot of variation. There are small tanagers, there are large tanagers. This is one of the larger tanagers. This is surprisingly called white line tanager. You don't see any white lines. There is actually a white line like right here on the shoulder of this bird. It's not really that prominent, but this is why it's called the white line tanager. This is also near Cali. From tanagers, we move to slightly larger overall family of birds that occur at a higher elevation, and these are called mountain tanagers. So our first mountain tanager is the scarlet-breasted mountain tanager. Again, this is Luis's photo. And this was actually photographed close to Manizales. It's east of Manizales, at a resort that is famous for its hot springs called Termales del Ruiz. And we will, I have a slide that goes through all the locations that we went through. So if there are questions, we can answer them. This is Luis's photo of the scarlet-breasted mountain tanager, and this is mine. You can see again how much difference the background makes. Just a few inches of difference in where I stood versus where Luis stood, and where the bird landed for him versus where the bird landed for me. And there is also, I have included a video that shows what it takes to get these photographs. We'll go through that. And That video actually was preparing the purchase for this particular species. So I'm going to repeat these couple of slides again. Okay. So the next bird again is a mountain tanager. These are stockier. These are larger. And this is a hooded mountain tanager. Clearly, you can see it has a black hood. And we photographed this east of Manizales also at a place called, I forget the name now, but yeah, the east of Manizales. This is again another mountain tanager called lacrimose mountain tanager. The yellow under the eye looks like an eye drop, and that's why this one is called lacrimose. I included Luis's photos because they're just spectacular. I did not have my luck was not that good, and I don't have these good photographs. And you can also see how beautiful the light is on this bird. It was very soft light at this point in time. There was the sun was going in and out of clouds, and we were at a very high elevation. This was about 10,000 feet or 8,000 feet, something like that. And so this bird came and perched for Luis and gave him some beautiful shots. The next one is also a mountain tanager, and this is the blue-winged mountain tanager. So you can see how beautiful the blue and the yellow is on these birds. And again, this was close to the place where we took the previous picture, the Lacrimose mountain tanager. Luis and I have also seen this bird in Ecuador, and we have photographed it in Ecuador, but this was a much better location to photograph this particular species as well. The next one is a masked flower piercer. You can see the black mask, and you can see the hooked bill, the little hook on the bill. What this bird does, it is also a tanager. It is much smaller, but on these tube type flowers that are abundant in Colombia, they just pinch, at the bottom, at the base of the flower. So they pierce the base of the flower and they drink the nectar. Unlike hummingbirds who go through the petals into the flower to drink the nectar, these guys have a shortcut. They just go straight at the base. So again, this is, as I mentioned earlier, there are many different species of tanagers, and this family of passerines is quite varied. This is an example. This is about half the size of the previous birds. We're coming to the last tanager, and this is my Christmas bird. This is a summer tanager. This is a migratory tanager. You do see this in the US, in the usually east of the Rockies in during spring and fall migration, usually spring migration, when they show up there. Some rare ones have actually shown up here too in the Bay Area, but these are abundant in South America. So again, this is a summer tanager male. The female is yellow. There is a big sexual dimorphism in this species. Okay, so from tanagers we move to hummingbirds, and hummingbirds are unique. We have our local Anna's hummingbirds here, and during migration we see a bunch of other species like the Allens, sometimes Costas, locally. But if you go to South America, be prepared to have your mind blown by the variety and the sheer diversity of hummingbirds. There are about 180 species of hummingbirds in South America. I was just counting the other day. I have only seen about a third of them. We photographed hummingbirds two different ways. We had what is called a multi-flash setup at one location, where the hummingbirds are attracted to flowers, and we photograph them in in really good light by triggering 4 or 5 flashes simultaneously to take pictures of them. We also photographed them with a single flash in in 1 or 2 locations. And then we also photographed them just perched, usually just, again, single flash or no flash. So I'm going to start with hummingbirds in flight first. So our first bird is the long-tailed sylph. This is an immature individual photographed by Harjeet near Cali. And this is mine, same species, same location, just different time of the day. And this is a full-grown male. The females are smaller. They don't have these long streamers, and they have a different coloration. But this long-tailed sylph did oblige us with some really good photographs. The next bird is my favorite bird. It's called the sword-billed hummingbird. And this is the bird that has the longest bill to body length ratio of any bird on the planet. And this bird can actually have bill about the same length as its body on some full adult individuals. This particular bird, when it flies, it actually looks like fighter jet. It always reminds me of these, blue angels that are flying. It has a very unique swept back wing type of shape when it flies, and it's really beautiful in flight. It's just gracious in flight, and it evolved or co-evolved with these long tube flowers where the nectar is deep inside the flower, and so they go and they stick their long bill in to grab the nectar from the base of the flowers. So this is again sword-billed hummingbird. This again same species of bird, sword-billed hummingbird. This time coming close to a feeder. Just imagine how difficult it must be. It's actually very interesting to see this bird on a feeder because his body is so far away because of the length of his bill, trying to drink the nectar from the feeders. The next bird is called Shining Sunbeam, and it has this really spectacular iridescent back, as you can see, with green and purple and gold colors, and it's really difficult to see. I tried to take this a photo like this on a perched bird, and I have one just to show the back, but this is a spectacular shot that Luis got. And Luis is a absolutely fantastic photographer. So I don't think I have anything even close to this one. This is I really envy this shot of Luis. I'll say this, I wish I had gotten this shot, but I'm happy to be able to share Luis's shot too. Again, this was at a setup in Manizales. This is again a very tiny hummingbird. This is, from a body length standpoint, it's only about 1/4 the size of the sylph that you saw, coming to almost similar flowers. This is a speckled hummingbird again, Luis's shot from Manizales. This is a black-thighed puffleg. This was a lifer for us. And this again is, I had never seen this bird before, and they may all seem, to look similar, but they all have the uniqueness about them. And I'll go through a few more. And I have a side-by-side photo that's coming up that actually, shows this. So this one is called the black-thighed puffleg, and we saw this in Manizales. The next bird is a bronzy Inca. There's also a brown Inca, and then there is a third type of Inca called collared Inca. We saw all three of them. This was close to Cali. This is the same bird going up to the flowers from the back. So bronzy Inca again. The next one is, this bird is called the tourmaline sun angel. And the hummingbirds have really interesting names. We have mangoes, we have sun angels, we have star frontlets, we have sylphs, and then there are just plain hummingbirds. Something, the name hummingbird in their name, in their species name. But all of them are just spectacular. They in the right light, they're gorgeous. The purple neck that the gorget is just beautiful, and to get this color, you do need usually some amount of flash so that the color bounces back and you get a really good, well lit gorget on these hummingbirds. So this one is I said, like I said, tourmaline sun angel, and the next one is green violet here. This is a lot more common. We see it all the way down from Costa Rica into Ecuador, and most of us see these birds on our first trips. We have seen them many times, but this was also fairly easy to photograph at this location. The next one is called buff-tailed coronet, and coronets are very birds. They don't like other hummingbirds coming to the feeders. So if you get too many coronets, then they scare off all the other species. So these coronets, again, we photographed at the same location, and as you can see, they were easy to photograph. I have a photograph. These coronets are so bold that one came and sat on Luis's palm. He extended his palm out, and one came and just sat on his hand. I have a picture of that too. So here is a picture of two different birds. On the left is Luis's mountain velvet breast, and on the right is collared Inca. When I first looked at them, I thought they were the same species until I realized that one had the white throat and the other one didn't. And so I started looking, and I realized that it was velvet breast on the left and the collared Inca on the right. But they did come to these flowers. There is a way to attract them to these flowers, and have backgrounds far away so that you can get some good photographs. I'll continue with the hummingbirds in flight. This is a green hermit, again drinking some nectar off of a heliconia, and this is Luis's photograph. This bird actually came to the flowers very infrequently, and Luis is an extremely patient photographer. I don't know how long you stayed, Luis, to get this. Every time I turned around, he would come and go, and then that was it. So I never got the green hermit well. And then this is the other hermit called the tawny-bellied hermit. Again, Luis's photograph. The pink stuff you see in the background are flowers in the distance. Okay, these are not with multi-flash. These are with either single flash or no flash, but in flight. This again is a mountain velvet breast, the bird you saw before, at the flowers, but this one is just trying to get the nectar, not at a multi-flash. We move to some other hummingbirds of the highlands now, and this one is called the Buffy helmet crest. It's just spectacular. It has this purple beard and a buffy crest, and we photographed it fairly high up in this mountain range east of Manizales called Nevados del Ruiz. And I was lucky because he came and sat relatively close when the light was good. And it turned out that the light was very variable that morning, and it kept moving. So this was sunny, and this is the same photograph in totally different light. Similar background. You can even see that the perches are similar flowers, but totally different look. So again, this is Luis's photograph of the same species. There were 6 or 7 of them in the vicinity, and we were very happy with our photos that day. Moving on to some other perched birds that I like. Here is the sword-billed hummingbird. You can see that this is again a perched individual, and you can see the length of the bill is almost the same as the length of the body. So this is one of those things in the nature that this bird has the unique distinction of being the largest bill to body size ratio. And one of my favorite birds. I think I would never tire of photographing this particular species. I must have thousands of photographs of this bird. The next one again is the sylph. Again, this is a male, full adult male that came and sat nicely for us. This is pretty much a full frame photograph, so it's it was relatively close to. And I love the colors and the iridescence on this bird. This is an Andean emerald, a much smaller hummingbird, also on that similar heliconia that Louis photographed the green hermit on. But this bird just came and sat there, and he sat there for a while, so allowing me to get some really nice photographs. And then this is the last one of the hummingbirds. This is the tourmaline sun angel, but just perched, and again showing off its beautiful pink purple gorget. Let me continue. So we move now on to toucans and toucanettes. Toucans and toucanettes are these unique birds. Most people have seen the fake toucan on the Fruit Loops box, but these are really colorful even in nature. We're going to start off with Harjeet's photo of the crimson rump toucanet, and this was again close to Cali. She saw this perched very nicely and was able to photograph it. And these toucanettes are generally smaller than toucans, and toucans are about 30% larger than an average toucanet. So now we go into some photos of a very unique toucan. This is called a gray-breasted mountain toucan. This is Luis's photo, and they have a way of attracting them to these perches, and I'll show what they do. But there is a very unique story about this bird. This bird, until about 6-7 years ago, there were not very many good photos of this bird. And at this one place that we were, I was talking to the owner's son, and he said, well, he had, he graduated from college with a degree in ecology, and he really wanted to use his hacienda and the farms around them for birding, because he knew he had really good birds, and these toucans were in the forest. So they tried to attract these toucans in many different ways, and they were really not being very successful. And he was almost ready to give up until one day they used a supermarket fruit and just left it on the tree for like a few days. And soon enough, the toucans discovered them, and then the rest is history, as they say. So this is Luis's photograph. These are vulnerable birds. There are not many of them left in the world, so it's important that they be conserved, and we work on making sure that their habitats are conserved, most importantly. So the next one is my photo of the same bird. I didn't have the time to take off my converter, so you can see it was a lot closer for me. Again, this is pretty much full frame photograph. And then the left side is Harjeet's photo, and the right side again is Luis's photo. They came on many different perches. So these are two different individuals, but they were very cute birds. We really enjoyed our time with these birds. And then, as I was mentioning, that fruit that you buy from supermarket is just these grapes, and not only did they take a like the grapes, you could actually move the grapes and they would follow the grapes. So they became very accustomed to getting the grapes from the guides. This is the other toucan. This is not as vulnerable. There are more of these species. This is the black-billed mountain toucan, and again, fairly high elevation. These are about 8,000 feet or so. And here is the backside of it. On the left is my photo, right is Luis's photo, and this is a spectacular portrait that Luis shot of this toucan. And then, I was wondering how they attract them. Well, not very different. They do the same exact thing. These guys are also attracted to the same exact species of table grapes. And so, they come to these perches in hopes of getting some food. Okay. So these were the only three essentially species of toucans and toucanettes that we saw. But we saw them so well that I still remember exactly where we were when we photographed these toucans. And so we're moving on to the rest of the species now. One other thing that Colombia is famous for, or South America in general is famous for, is ant-pitas. And some of you may have heard of this guy called Angel Paz, who pioneered the way to attract ant-pitas, because ant-pitas are notoriously hard to see. They are skulkers. They are always in the understory, and you can always hear them. You just never see them. So he found out a way to attract them and bring them outside, lure them outside, so they can be seen well and they can be photographed. So we'll start with the first ant-pita, the equatorial ant-pita. This is pretty drab. This was very high altitude. I remember panting, walking down to the location near a stream where this ant-pita came, and really getting not enough oxygen to walk back with the gear all the way back. Again, this photo is from Luis. Beautiful shot with nice green background. Nothing more you can ask for. On the left is slate-crowned ant-pita, and on the right is crescent-faced ant-pita. Left is from Luis, right is from Harjeet. And these, again, they have figured out a way to attract these ant-pitas. That they're very small birds. I mean, these are probably 4 or 5 inches tall, and extremely skittish. So now that they trust some people to feed them mealworms, they come out and pose for you for no more than, let's say, 2-3 minutes, and then they're just gone, or maybe even a minute, and then they're just gone back into the thickets. This is a bicolored ant-pita. Again, Luis's excellent photograph. They set up this perch for him, and sure enough, he obliged. He jumped up and allowed us to get these shots. And then this is a tapaculo. This is again one of those. This is ocellated tapaculo, and we really didn't know if this bird would even show up. We were told to expect nothing. If it showed up, it would be a bonus. And so we waited there. We set ourselves up, and sure enough, it came not once but actually twice, and gave us really good looks. Tapaculos, just like antbirds and ant-pitas, are notoriously difficult to see, but with human beings are very innovative. They started off, one guy figured it out, and then now you have ant-pita hides and pita hides even in Asia, where you can see the Asian pitas. So in Cali, where we were staying in the lodge, this wood quail came out from time to time. So the person that owned the lodge, he actually started feeding them, and so it became relatively straightforward to see these chestnut wood quails. Again, these birds prefer dark understories. Very difficult to photograph. There is not enough light. But if they come out in the open like this, then it's relatively easy. So this is Harjeet's photo, and then this is Luis's photo of the same species. Um, we'll continue on with some other species. Here is a Inca jay that I photographed at Manizales. And we were waiting at this location, and there were these birds that were flying around, and I was hoping one would land right in front of me. And sure enough, with enough patience, one day, I love their color scheme. So beautiful. We're moving on to some interesting birds called this bird is called common potu. There are different kinds of potus in South America, and birds, open their mouth like this, like you see. He's in this particular photograph. The bird is yawning, but they just open their mouth and fly around um, and eat insects at night. So he was just waking up, and Luis photographed him yawning, and then I photographed him being grumpy and awake on the same perch. They are very well camouflaged. So even when the guides point them out to you, it's kind of difficult to see. And I'm going to use two of Harjeet's photos of this species to just show you how well camouflaged they are in nature. So same species, left and right. They just look like extension of these broken um, snags. And look at the color of the snag and the color of the bird on both of them. Same exact species. The left bird is pretty dark. We photographed this near a river. The right bird is pretty light, and it looks just like the snag it's sitting on. Okay, moving on to some other colorful birds, these barbets. So this is a red-headed barbet. We have seen this even in Ecuador. And this particular species shows very strong sexual dimorphism. The female does not look anything like this, and there are differences in where this red and yellow transition and how it happens. The ones on the eastern side of the Andes in Ecuador have a different coloration than the ones in the western side of the Andes, and where this transition occurs is also different. So there are subtle differences, but these are again very pretty birds. Moving on to some birds that we saw in some riparian habitats. This is a cuckoo family bird called smooth-billed ani, and Luis is excellent at photographing birds in flight. So he caught this ani flying. There were 6 or 7 of these in that location. The next one is an ibis, a bare-faced ibis that Luis also caught flying at the same location. And then the last one at that location Luis caught is a southern lapwing. And one of these interesting things that the lapwings have is they have these spurs on the wings. You can barely see it on the left wing, but you can see it on the right wing pretty clearly. Spectacular shot of this southern lapwing from Luis. In addition to all these lapwings, just like the others, there are many different kinds of birds in the Columbidae family in South America. These are doves and pigeons. So this gray-headed dove was photographed by Harjeet, and it was, this is not very easy to photograph. These are extremely skulky. You can see the forest floor where it's coming, and it was super dark over there. So they just stepped out in the sun for just a brief minute, and then they just dove right back into the forest. This is an eared dove that Luis photographed, and this is a white-throated quail dove that I photographed. Moving on to some owls. We saw one owl in at this location. Initially we didn't even see it. We were photographing something else on a different perch, and the guide just told me, he said, "Look to the right, look to the right. There's an owl sitting." And I didn't even see it for a little bit until I suddenly saw it, and then we ended up photographing it. It sat there for a while. Actually, wasn't really afraid of us or anything. And I caught him looking away, and Harjeet caught him staring at him. And on the left, you see another skulker. So Harjeet would look for these birds in the forest, and this gray-breasted woodwren, I don't even think I saw. And Harjeet was able to get a photograph of it. The next one is a sedge wren that we photographed at Nevados del Ruiz, and Luis and I photographed this bird at the same location. The next one is again a canastero, many striped canastero. You can see the many stripes there, calling. He just sat on this perch and kept calling. This again is a high altitude bird. The next one is a saffron finch that Harjeet photographed in Cali, and this is fairly common. We saw this at a coffee stop that we stopped at. This bird just came to our feet. I mean, it was just like a house sparrow. But to be able to photograph this well, that takes some skill in natural perches and things like that. At this one location between Cali and Manizales, we took a boat ride, and there were several snail kites there. And snail kites love these big snails, and the hooked bill is used to get the meaty part of the snail out of their shell. So this was a juvenile that just came and landed on this perch, and I was able to photograph it. Here is the juvenile with the nail in its talons. You can see the snail in its talons. And as Harjeet was photographing this, another one came right overhead, and you can clearly see here. This is a full-grown adult, and you can see the apple snail in its talons, and looks really beautiful with this red eyes and this stare. And you can also see the hooked bill. They use the bill to take out the meat of this snail. Another family of South American birds that are generally in the forest are called these manakins. There are many different species of manakins, and one of the key thing about these is they are skulkers. They stay deep in the forest. You can hear them always, but you can again never really see them. And not only were Harjeet and Luis able to photograph, they were able to photograph them really well. So this was another lifer, I believe, for all of us, a golden nape manakin. And we saw this at Tinamu Lodge, if I remember correctly. And the guide who at Tinamu Lodge just took us to this one place, and we didn't even hear, I could tell this by the ear. And he said, "Just wait here. The bird is here." And we just waited, and we waited and waited, and finally this bird showed up after like 10 minutes, and gave us these incredible photographs. So this is the golden nape manakin, and here is Luis's photo where you actually see the golden nape, and this is shot through the thickets, through the through the forest, looking into the forest. So pretty intense, bird. And on the left again is Harjeet's really clean shot, and on the right is I believe mine. Yeah, that's mine. So we all saw it quite well. We're coming towards the end of the presentation. This is a chestnut nape capped brush finch that all of us photographed. This is Luis's photo from Nevados del Ruiz. And then this is pale nape brush finch, which Luis caught so well. you don't really see the pale nape until you see it like this, and this is the pale nape. If you see it, this is my photograph, and it is not as good. So same species. Up in the Paramo, we also saw the noble snipe. This was again a lifer. I had never seen this before. We stopped by this farm, and they had the snipe in the back. So we crossed over some puddles, got to our bellies, and we were able to photograph this snipe. Continuing with colorful theme, the birds in South America are simply spectacular. I love the birds. And these are Andean motmots. This is actually probably the same bird. I photographed it in one location, and Harjeet photographed it in another location. And just to show you the difference in the color, mine was a little more during the brighter time of the day. A few minutes later, clouds came in, changed the color temperature, and that's Harjeet's photo on the right. Harjeet also saw this golden olive woodpecker on the left, and Luis photographed this red-crowned woodpecker. This would come to its nest hole. It was quite far away, so I'm really happy with the quality that Luis was able to get. This is probably with a 2x teleconverter on a 600 millimeter lens, so this is like 1200 millimeters. So it's but given how sharp it is, it's really really spectacular. In addition to those, Harjeet, like I said, used to crawl the forest, and he saw all these other birds like bar-crested antshrike and common toady flycatcher that at least I never saw. And I'm not sure if Luis had a chance to see them, but it's good to be able to see these other birds that you were not able to see, because then I can live through that experience vicariously through Harjeet's lens. And then this is the final shot of the day of the presentation. These are Colombian chachalacas, also at the same location where we saw the owl. So going to the locations we visited, Fincala, Florida, near Cali is where we started, and then we went to Bosque de Niebla, right, very close by. They also had some, so we photographed a bunch of hummingbirds there. I believe Harjeet photographed the toucan there also. The Laguna de Sonso on the way to Manizales is where we saw the snail kites, and Harjeet photographed the common potu. We also photographed the other common potu not too far from there. We went to Tinamu Lodge in Manizales, Hacienda El Bosque. This was the high altitude place where we photographed the pitas and the toucans. Then Finca Demonstrativa Don Miguel is where I photographed that green jay. Glamping El Color de Mis Reves, this is where we photographed a bunch of hummingbirds, including those perched shots of the sylph and the sword-billed hummingbird, and also the owl. Nevados del Ruiz and Termales del Ruiz is where we photographed Nevados del Ruiz is where we photographed that buffy helmet crest, and Termales del Ruiz is where we photographed those mountain tanagers. I wanted to share a few photos from the trip. On the top left is the three of us with our guides, with our guide Fernay, and he was a superb guide. He knew all the locations. On the right top, going clockwise, is the hide where we photographed these toucans. So we stood there, and the toucans came. You can see me with my backpack trying to photograph Luis, waiting with his gear behind me. And then we stopped at this small tienda for some coffee. So this is where I photographed the Sajren and the Canastero. And then the last photograph on the left is this buff-tailed cornet sitting on Louis's extended palm. This was at the glamping place. I want to share a short video to kind of show how the purchase are made. And so these are the purchase in, I believe, in this resort called Termales del Ruiz. And Ferney is our guide. You see here, he is fixing these perches. And this is, this is a little fast forward, fast action video. But you'll see that he goes and forth and fixes this so as to get the right backgrounds and whatnot. You might also see some birds hopping around. And then the result of this, all of this work, you will see in the photos that follow, okay, which will be the last photos of our slideshow. So let me just go. So here he is trying to do a variety of things. And you can see the fog rolling in and out. You can see some birds on the ground moving in and out. He's fixing some broken limbs, whatnot. He put some, lichen up there. You can see some birds in the left side. And then he is done. And then the birds come to the purchase. And then, hold on, why is this? Okay, here is what you get out of that. So this is actual perch that he was working on in the previous video. And Louis photographed this scarlet-breasted mountain tanager there. And here is my photo of the scarlet-breasted mountain tanager on the other side of that same perch. Okay, this is our last slide. Most of the time people ask us what gear we use. So Louis and I use Sony. Harjeet uses Canon. Louis uses basically two Sony bodies, a 600 mm and 200/600, and the TCs. Harjeet uses Canon R5. These are Canon R5 is mirrorless. 5D Mark IV is a DSLR with 5mm f4 lens and 100/400 zoom with a 1.4x TC. And I use the Sony A1, and I used to use the Sony A7 IV, which I don't anymore. And then I also use the 600 f4 prime lens and 100/400 zoom lens, along with the 1.4x and a 2x TCs. We used a common multi-flash setup, meaning it was common for all of us. We just fired the same flashes for those hummingbird photos. So that's it for tonight. And thank you again. Thank you to STVS for sponsoring BABP. Again, if you're not a member, please consider becoming one today. Thanks to Sri for spearheading the BABP and all the work that goes into putting these things together and making these meetings happen. We couldn't do it without you, Sri. Thanks also. Yeah. Thanks also to Louis and Harjeet for being my partners in crime and for great company in the field. And finally, special thanks to Luis for all the logistics and the arrangements for this trip and all the Spanish language communication with the guide and our driver that made our trip so successful. Thank you again.
Absolutely spectacular. I think I'm speaking for everyone here. So thank you, Vivek. It's absolutely stunning. And Harjeet and Louis, yeah. So it's open for questions, and please feel free to use the chat box. In the meantime, I will say there's a couple of comments here. Marilyn says spectacular. Okay, it's more for me. Since you're recording it, is it available to watch again? Marilyn, yes, actually we will post it on YouTube, so you should be able to see it again. And I usually send the link out in about a week's time. Mary Kenny says absolutely fantastic. Steve says thank you. Bill says bravo, it's beautiful. Of course, Steve is amazing collection. Vivek, you guys really scored.
Yeah, thank you.
Looks like, yeah,
we missed you, Steve.
Yeah. Steve was probably back in Arizona or some other place actually taking pictures too.
That's right.
Yeah. And yeah, this very good comments from everybody about the presentation.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So
I'm so glad you enjoyed them. And I mean, if you have questions on, Colombia or any other places that we've been to, uh, please just, send us an email or send Sri an email. He can share or ask on BABP, the BABP
yeah,
group. Or you can send me an email too. My email is just birdpixel@gmail.com. So you can use that as well. Let me just put that in
thanks,
chat.
Vivek. Yeah, Raghu is asking, what settings do you use typically?
Um, Almost all the photos are in manual mode. So everything manual, ISO manual, aperture manual, and also the shutter speed manual.
Perfect. And usually f8, something like that, or
The smallest aperture, I mean the largest aperture, smallest aperture number that is possible in the
okay,
circumstances.
because of the light. Yeah, makes sense.
Yes.
Michelle is saying, I came in late, but could you please tell us the contact information for your guide?
Yes, actually I don't have it right now, but again, I just put my email address there. We can certainly share his contact information.
Yeah, and if you send it to me, I can send it out to
Sure,
BABP. Yeah, I can.
sure.
And Mary is saying, what time of the year and how long were you there?
So we were there exactly 1 year ago, February 21st of 2022 is when I think we were there. We started the trip, and it was a total of 10 days, including the travel. So 8 days of photography, 1 day to go there, 1 day to come back.
Oh, yes, I mean, it looks stunning actually, right? I think even though there was a little bit of rain, looks like, or fog, you guys still
Yeah,
got
I think
very good.
we did have rain on a couple of days, but the rain there just lasted for probably, I would say, like max an hour and went away. At that glamping place, El Color de Mis Reves, there was rain for about, I would say, a good 45 minutes or so.
It's still not bad, huh? Hmm.
Not bad, yeah.
So one thing, Vivek, and I'm sure other people are thinking this, and maybe I can ask this question too, because I have it myself. In
Sure.
terms of Colombia as a country for birding, it's very popular, but it's
Yes.
also has a dubious past. So are people
Yeah.
more comfortable with going to Colombia now?
Yeah, I think, we went to Colombia on almost on a whim in 2017 as a family. Like Lena, myself, Anaya, and Mitali, we all four of us went along with our friends, Jay, Maritza, and their kids, and we never felt unsafe. Okay, and I mean, no country is ever perfect. There is always some risk, but we were not only were we fine, um, we didn't feel Colombia was very welcoming, and it's a really good tourist place. The tourist infrastructure is quite decent,
Fantastic.
unlike some other places that I've been to in the world.
Yeah, you're right. I think even if you go to Paris and Rome, right, there is risks, and same story for India or any other place too. So,
Right.
but yeah, but good to know. And the infrastructure is good for birds and
Yeah,
bird
infrastructure
photography.
was great. Yeah, Luis, you want to add anything?
And no, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was pretty safe. What it was said that, I mean, you should not go south from Cali, or, maybe east from the Cauca Valley, but the valley is pretty safe. No,
Yeah.
no issues there. And regarding the guide, his name is Fernando Delgado. He has a company called Coraves Birding Tours.
That's
And
right.
I'll paste
Yeah.
the info on the chat now.
Or yeah, if you one of you can send it to me on email, then I can send it to the whole group. That way everyone has it. Yeah, that'll be very helpful. Perfect. Yeah, a lot more comments about. I mean, photographs are spectacular. They're stunning. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
Just amazing, amazing. I have to say, I'm a little bit jealous myself that I couldn't go to Colombia yet, but this inspires me now.
You should. Everybody should.
Yeah, for sure. If no further questions, I do have a small pitch for next month. I think we really enjoy these photographs. Usually the bring your own photo sessions that we have in September was very popular. Very good feedback about that. So we decided to do it one more time, and this time in spring. So please go out, take pictures, January, February, March, and send me 10 of your best shots for a show in April. So next month, what we will do is we'll share some of your photos. So if you send it to me earlier, I'm happy to put it together and present. Sorry, Bill. Oh, yeah, please go ahead. I apologize. I didn't see your hand up.
No, I just put it up. I wanted to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
I wanted to make a pitch for one opportunity to go out and get those photos to send would be in our spring birdathon, which is coming up. And although mostly people think of this as a bird watching activity, we do have photography categories, both for number of species you can get in 4 hours or 24 hours, but also interesting or unusual birds. So think about it. It's not the kind of slow and patient work that Vivek's been talking about, but it is fun in a different way. So consider being involved. I think you'll enjoy it.
I love it. If you can please send me the information, I will share it with everyone. That just seems a spectacular way to get out. And spring in Bay Area is actually very popular for birds, right? It's very good. And for people who haven't heard this, the mountain bluebird was a nemesis bird that Vivek remembers. We tried so hard to see that, and I get to see it back in Palo Alto now. So fantastic.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. But yes, please go out and don't forget to send me 10 of your best shots, and I will actually put together a presentation for next month. So, all right. Any other questions or comments for Vivek? Doesn't look like it. So
yeah. Well,
from all of us,
thank you for your time this evening, and I hope everybody enjoyed the photos.
Oh, it's spectacular, Vivek. I'm so glad you could make time actually. And
thank you,
Harjeet. Thank you, Harjeet and Luis as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good night.
All right. Good night, folks.